Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of Control or Be Controlled. Today's guest is Barbara and Mojika, historian, retired educator, author, and passionate advocate for helping children discover the power of history. Barbara, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
All right, Barbara, I would like you to add a little bit to that introduction.
Well, as you mentioned, I am a historian and an educator for many years. My graduate and undergraduate training, formal academic training, is in history. After I finished my training, I did decide that I wanted to spend more time working with people rather than just researching history. So I went into education and I spent 40 years in various forms of education, working with children in the general population as well as children with special needs. As time went on, I became more and more aware that many of our children were not learning effectively because our public education system was not meeting their needs. We need to reach children in the best way that they can learn. And that involves many different scenarios. So children have different learning styles, different capabilities, and teachers have to have the ability to reach children individually, not with a one size fits all approach. So I spent many, many years going back to school and learning different techniques, eventually becoming an administrator and being able to tailor the programs and the type of learning that they needed to their specific learning style. And today I write books to help children understand and appreciate history, but I also spend a lot of time sharing strategies and techniques to help children learn better, as well as help authors to achieve their passion and to be successful in communicating their thoughts and their abilities to share with a wider audience.
All right, thank you so much, Barbara. So, you often say if you don't know your history, you don't know what you are talking about. Why is history more relevant today than ever before?
Oh, it's more important than ever before because our world has changed so exponentially, and every day it changes faster and faster. History is important because each one of us as individuals, no matter how small we might consider ourselves in the big scheme of things, plays an important part of history. We cannot understand the reasons and the picture of the total picture of how we are working and living today if we don't understand what came before us. And when we understand what came before us, whether that was a history that was something that proved successful or something that may have been an ultimate failure, we need to learn from that and then to use those experiences to create a plan to go forward and to build upon the successes and to understand how to turn around the previous failures to make a better place for all of us in the future.
All right. So many students see history as memorizing dates and facts. How can we transform it into something exciting, meaningful, and personally relevant?
Well, that's exactly what my ambition is, my whole reason for writing. I try to make history something that is fun, alive, and exciting for children, helping them to realize that it is the exact opposite of what many people think. It's not an unrelated string of facts or random events or certain powerful people, but it is the story of all of us and how we have all played a part in history. History, if it is understood correctly, involves critical thinking. And our schools today, in my opinion, are failing at helping children learn how to think critically. We need not only to look at information, but we need to understand how that process evolved because history is constantly evolving. So we need to teach our children the process of thinking, not merely what to think by examining a fact, but to understand the who behind it, what happened, where it happened, when it happened, how it happened, and why it happened. And by putting all of that information together, we come out with a composite picture which will enable us to understand and to apply our thinking because we have to take that information, find the truth, and then connect it to what was happening then and relate it to what is happening now. So it is a whole process of thought. It is not just random information.
Okay, Barbara. So your Little Miss History series has introduced countless children to historical adventures. What inspired you to create this unique character and approach?
Okay, my rationale was to, as I mentioned before, to make history something fun and exciting and relevant to today's children. So I have used a character. When I decided to create the series, I wanted to combine my two loves, my love and passion for history, with my love of teaching and educating children. So I decided to write a series of books, but my husband, who is an artist, came up with the idea of creating a character, a fun character, who would narrate and guide the children along throughout the book series. So the Little Miss History character is a character who is somewhat a comedian in some respects. She has exaggerated features, almost like a cartoon character. And she is a funny version of a younger me. So she's an explorer, she's an adventurer, she's someone who looks at the world with an optimistic view, and that's why she wears rose colored glasses. So this adventurer guides the reader, the children who read the book series, along with the adventure. But she not only shares the information in a fun way, but she also asks the children questions. So her mission within the book series is to develop those critical thinking skills that I talked about before, helping children to understand that whole picture, the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, the how, and having fun while doing it, yet also asking them for their interaction and participation. So throughout the books, she's asking them questions, asking them what kind of solutions would they come up with to make this situation a better one. So she's constantly developing the thought process, making history something that is not only something from the past, but it's also relevant to them today and allowing them to come up with the solutions for doing things better or differently in the future.
Okay, Barbara. So, after more than 4 decades in education, what changes have you seen in the way children learn, and what concerns you most about education today?
I have a lot of concerns about education today and the way children learn. Uh, it, Many years ago, we taught children at least in public education for most children, they were sitting in classrooms with large numbers of students, and there was one presentation of learning that addressed all the students together in one particular way. There was little deviation. As time went on, there was somewhat of an attempt to divide children into different groups and address them according to their ability to learn faster or slower. And that was somewhat of an improvement, but again, it wasn't addressing the individual needs of different learners. So some children are visual learners, some children are auditory learners, and they learn best by hearing. Some children learn best by touching and feeling and being tactically involved in the learning situation. Our curriculum over time has again moved away from that, and now we're given one curriculum by an administration and told that all the children must learn using this curriculum taught in a certain way. Teachers today are given very little leeway as to how to teach children. They are just given the one size fits all approach, and children are expected to learn. The other thing that has really been implemented here, especially in the United States, is the test. So everyone teaches to the test, and children are judged to be successful or unsuccessful by the way they perform on an arbitrary test. Which again, the children are not being taught how to think, they're being taught to pass a random test that determines their success or failure. That certainly doesn't encourage children to want to learn or to be open to thinking and coming up with innovative solutions. And during COVID, especially, we got away from reaching children, and we put them all online. They were all learning in a very robotic way, and many parents became aware of the things that were going on in the education system and became very upset with the educational system. So today, we are slowly moving into new and innovative ways to teach, which to me, I think is very promising. Uh, Parents that are homeschooling children, parents that are bonding with other parents and creating little micro schools where they are taking control of the education charter schools where children are being encouraged to learn and develop their other passions like music or art along with the general academic subjects of the curriculum. So today, those approaches I think are promising. And my personal belief is that parents should be the ultimate judges of what their child needs. And there should be less money in the public education, which is using this one size model, and there should be more control given to parents over choosing the type of education that will prove most successful for their child.
Okay, so you have experienced both education and publishing firsthand. What has your journey as an author taught you, and what challenges do writers face in today's publishing world?
Well, and I think the most important thing for an author, for any author to remember, no matter who they write for, what their audience is to write about something that they are passionate about. Uh, Someone who writes a book simply to make money is not going to be a successful author. You have to really be passionate and interested in what you want to communicate to your audience. And I think authors today have to be willing to share with each other. Some people may think that an author who writes books in your field or a similar field might be a competitor of yours, but on the contrary, I have found that authors can do a lot to help each other and build each other up, sharing their experiences, sharing effective means of marketing, sharing uh, effective ways of editing and improving and coming in using technology uh, as something that can support their writing, not something that that supplants their writing, but something that can support them and help them refine their own ideas, again, helping them to develop more of a critical learning style and to use that to become a better author. I think authors have to show a sense of uh, setting example for others in society, showing them that you can pursue your passion. Today, authors do not have to belong to a large conglomerate of publishing. They can publish themselves independently. They can go out and find ways to use social media to spread the message that they want to share. And they have a lot more ability to help reach that general audience. So social media can be a very powerful tool for sharing. It can also be something that can be very negative, as we have seen. The social media has changed education so much because sometimes social media with our children can be an enemy of teaching them how to find truth, how to find factual information, because our children are sometimes with social media and the algorithms and the influence of their friends on social media are only given one side of the story. They're fed a certain amount of information, which is information that might be more opinionated and subjective than it is factual. So there are pluses and there are minuses of research to understand and not to accept the quick answer that it's easy to get from social media, because our children are very, very used to typing in the question and coming up with an immediate answer rather than going through social media and looking at more than one avenue to find that answer and then comparing and contrasting that information before they come up with a conclusion. So it's very, very difficult for a child who is living in this age of instant communication, instant information, and instant gratification to understand that we have to step back and we always have to investigate. We have to think. We have to use our own brains to process that information. And that's a responsibility that teachers, parents, and authors have when they're dealing with trying to spread truth to our children, who are our audience today, but who will someday, hopefully, become the leaders of tomorrow and will be using that information and previous history to come up with the better answers that will be solutions for tomorrow.
All right, so here is my final question for you. You believe each of us become part of history through the choices we make. What responsibility do we all have in shaping the future for the next generation?
Well, we all have a responsibility to shape the future. For children, their responsibility is to up, to apply themselves to the fullest extent. So hopefully the parents have instilled basic values in their children. Hopefully parents have taught them respect and kindness toward others and empathy to understand that some people do things differently from us. That doesn't necessarily make it wrong or right. We have learned by experiencing our family culture and our family history, but then we have gone out into the community and we have experienced people who have done things differently, and we share and we learn from them. And hopefully, we're encouraging our children to be independent thinkers, to present our views, and then hopefully, we have trained them to use those critical thinking skills we talked about, never accepting a, a yes or a no answer, but always challenging them to give us their views, their opinions, and always encouraging them to try new ways of doing things, to learn from their successes, to learn from their failures, and then use that information to go forward and be something better in the future.
Hi, Barbara, thank you so much. Barbara, thank you for reminding us that history is much more than the story of the past. It's a guide for making wiser decisions today and building a better tomorrow. For listeners who would like to learn more about your Little Miss History series or connect with your work, where's the best place for them to find you?
The best place to find me is to go to the website at littlemisshistory.com. And from there, they can find out about all the different book titles that are there. They will also be able to find out my YouTube channel, and all the links on the website are clickable, so they can just click on YouTube and they will be taken to videos about history, videos for authors, videos for parents and teachers. They can go to my blog where I talk about and review different types of books for children, and I also have tools and strategies for parents, teachers, and authors there as well. And I also have my social media channels on the website as well. So if they go to littlemisshistory.com, they can find all that information. Just click on the links and they will be taken to where they can obtain.
All right, once again, Barbara, thank you so much. And I'm so happy that you joined us and shared your perspective with us today.
Thank you so much.
All right, have a wonderful day.
You as well. Bye bye.